This is a video demo of the Jellyfish Dogtag Migration software for importing Dogtag certificates and certificate authorities into Jellyfish and allowing for continuous synchronization and migration between Dogtag and Jellyfish. The purpose of the software is to leave your Dogtag CA operational and allow your team flexibility for cutting over to Jellyfish as your main certificate issuer. I've already imported the private keys for my certificate authority. The CA we're going to be importing in this session is the Dogtag EE issuer. It has been used to issue a few user certificates through the end entity. I'll need my key because I plan to import my certificate authority and migrate all of my certificate issuance through Jellyfish. While I do this, I'm going to keep my Jellyfish migration tool running in the background to keep any certificates issued by my Dogtag CA continually brought back into Jellyfish. So to get started, I'm going to first register my certificate authority. I've got two certificate authorities in my chain. I have a two-tier PKI. So I'm going to register the root certificate first. So I need to enter the CA's CN in both the display and distinguished name. I'm going to choose this to be a root certificate authority, and I'll need the certificate authority PIM. For this root, I'm not going to join a signing key because I don't plan to assume issuance from this root. If I did plan on doing that, I would need to provision my signer key for my root CA as well. But since I've selected my tenancy, filled out the name information, and provided my PIM, I should be able to register the certificate authority. I could also register some certificate templates against the CA, but I'm not going to do that right now. Instead, I'm going to immediately move on to registering my issuing CA. This is a issuing CA, and I'll need to get my certificate PIM for this one as well. And this time I do have a signer key because I imported it before we got started. It's registered in my nCipher HSM as Dogtag EE issuer. I've got a few more options now to include AIA, CRL, and OCSP information. I'm not going to provide this right now because it's not set up for my lab demo. I'm also going to register a certificate template against my certificate authority. And to do this, I'm going to jump into my CA agent in Dogtag's UI and search for my certificate so that I can get the profile exactly right. One of the benefits of migrating to Jellyfish is that the search is far more feature dense and much more responsive than in Dogtag. It might take me a little while to find the data I'm looking for here. In fact, I think I might need to come in through the certificate request to get this information. So I need to click through to the certificate request. And I can see that my profile ID is CA user cert, so I will need this when setting up my template in Jellyfish. So I'm going to enter CA user cert, which is the name of my profile for both the display and the template. I'll match this to track CA, and I'll leave all the other settings as default for now, and we can configure this after the import is completed. Okay, and now that I've set all that up, I just need to register my CA and template to my tenancy. So I'll associate the certificate authority, and then I can come in and associate the template as well. Okay, so now all the data is provisioned in Jellyfish. The only thing that's missing is the certificates themselves. So if I come into my subscriptions and I have a look at my CAs, I can inspect my Dogtag CA, which we've modeled off of the real-world Dogtag CA currently being provided by the Dogtag server. I can see that I've licensed my CA user cert, and I can see some of the basic details of my Dogtag and Entity Issuer CA. So next I'm going to set up the Jellyfish migration tool. This is going to continually update certificates within Jellyfish. This will make sure that any certificates issued or revoked within Dogtag Certificate Authority will also be mirrored in Jellyfish. The new certificates are added and the revoked certificates are updated. This does not back the information back into the Dogtag CA, so one caveat with this technology is you'll need to use the Jellyfish Cog VA to publish your CRL and host your OCSPs. So I've already configured the software. I've already prepared my deployment of the Jellyfish Dogtag migration tool. So first we'll inspect the config. And I can see that I've provisioned my connection to Jellyfish with an API key. I've provisioned my connection to the Dogtag REST API server using a MTLS certificate and key. And I've set up my synchronization schedule to ensure that Jellyfish is fully up to date every minute. It hasn't been synced, so there's no meta information on where we got to last time. So now all I need to do is run the program. So it'll immediately start the first run. You can see that it hasn't managed to register with the CA signing certificate. I've entered the name wrong, so we can correct that for the next synchronization. It has managed to register for my Dogtag end entity issuer, and it's currently uploading the certificates into Jellyfish. I can see that the synchronization run is now completed, and it's performed a number of revocations for certificates that have been revoked within Dogtag. So now if I come into the Jellyfish search, I can look for certificates issued from Dogtag e-issuer, and I can see my full collection of certificates that I've brought in from Dogtag. Let's compare one in particular. So the certificate that we were looking at within the Dogtag portal, if we go back from the request, looks like we'll have to do the search again. Let's take a look at this certificate that's been revoked. So this is for Alex Rivera. If I update my Jellyfish search to include Alex as the subject name, I should be able to find this certificate. There it is. So let's inspect it and compare it to what we can see in Dogtag. So I can see the subject name as well as the serial and the key usages. You can see the validity period, as well as the extended key usages and any AIA or CDP information. You can see that it's linked in my OCSP server that's in my Dogtag lab. And at the bottom I have a few options. For example, I can download the PM certificate. This certificate was issued by the Dogtag EE issuer, and it looks like it's issued to Alex Rivera. See at the top, this certificate is revoked. It doesn't have any associations because we haven't imported our end entities yet from Dogtag. So now, because we've linked our private key in our Dogtag CA and we've imported all of our certificates and revocations, we can now use our Dogtag CA to issue some new end entity certificates through the Jellyfish portal instead. So I've already connected my Dogtag EE issuer to its private key during the registration process, and I've set up a certificate template. So I can go through and issue Alex a new cert, seeing his previous cert was revoked. So again, I can download the PEM, and this time I'd also want to download the P12 and optionally also the PKCS8, but for now we're just going to inspect it in Jellyfish. So now I can see in my Jellyfish search that I've got my previous certificate issued by the Dogtag CA that has been revoked, and my new certificate that's been issued through Jellyfish. I can see here that my CA issuer is the same, and if I take my authority key identifier, I can see that it begins with ACADE93. And if I go back to the search and I inspect the revoked certificate, it should have the same authority identifier, ACADE93. While this isn't bulletproof, it can easily demonstrate that these look to be issued from the same issuer. I also have a few more rich details than I did before, including access to the associations. I can see that the certificate is associated with my user. And because we've completed this request all the way through Jellyfish, I can view the approval for this as well, which includes the certificate signing request, as well as the user that requested it and the dates and time for all that information. I can also revoke this newly issued certificate, so I'll do that now. So I can see that the certificate has been revoked. And that concludes this video demonstration of the Jellyfish Dogtag migration and continuous synchronization tooling.